Like, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to like if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud family. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me.
For decades, Disney has been the largest producer of entertainment for children and families. Growing up, I watched an enormous number of Disney movies and enjoyed essentially all of them. They followed a predictable pattern, were fun, and were generally much less morally objectionable than many other sources of media and entertainment. However, in recent years, and even just recent weeks, Disney has been changing at breakneck speed.
The report goes on to add that Pixar and Disney reportedly had cut a kiss between the two characters, but it's now been restored following the Walt Disney Company's revelation that they were opposed to the Florida bill aiming to prevent instruction of gender identity and orientation to school kids between kindergarten and third grade.
Let's walk through Disney's transformation, and then we'll conclude with the future of Disney. In 2017, Disney's live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast included a transgender character, and it made LeFou, Gaston's sidekick, gay.
There's something in the film that is controversial to some, but to me, again, as the father of two little kids, I really love. There's talk of like a gay story, a gay love story in this, which really is, it comes down to a couple of smiles and like a partial dance. But LeFou has a crush on Gaston. Josh Gad's character has this sort of like veiled affection for Gaston.
In 2019, in response to Georgia passing the heartbeat bill to protect unborn babies in the womb, Disney CEO Bob Iger made the decision to stop shooting films in Georgia.
Well, I think if it becomes law, it'll be very difficult to produce, or I rather doubt we will. I don't think I think many people who work for us will not want to work there, and we'll have to heed their wishes in that regard.
In 2020, Disney announced that it was partnering with Colin Kaepernick, who became famous for kneeling for the national anthem and loudly criticizing the United States for its systemic racism, all while becoming rich himself from all the attention he was drawing to himself. In March of this year, CEO Bob Chapek told employees during a virtual town hall that he regretted not taking a public stance against Florida's bill that would prohibit schools from talking to young children about sexuality, gender identity, and sexual orientation, which would respect parents' rights to know what is being taught to their children.
Team. On Friday, I met with a small group of Disney LGBTQ+ leaders to discuss controversial legislation pending in Florida that would impact their communities. One common theme was disappointment that the company has not issued a public statement condemning the legislation. That disappointment was compounded by the fact that, while not perfect, our company has a long history of supporting the LGBTQ+ community, and in fact, has played an important role in the personal journeys of so many of our employees. I want to be crystal clear. I and the entire leadership team unequivocally stand in support of our LGBTQ+ employees, their families, and their communities. I also believe you deserve an explanation for why we have not issued a statement. Finally, I want to address concerns about our political contributions in Florida. While we have not given money to any politician based on this issue, we have contributed to both Republican and Democrat legislators who have subsequently taken positions on both sides of the legislation. I can also share that Jeff Morrell, our new Chief Corporate Affairs Officer, will be reassessing our advocacy strategies around the world, including political giving, as he begins to integrate the communications, public policy, government relations and CSR teams.
Not only that, Chapek also pledged to fiercely oppose Texas Governor Greg Abbott's attempt to investigate parents of children undergoing gender transitioning procedures.
Hey, this is Michael. Yeah, the real Michael. If you like these videos, would you consider subscribing? It helps YouTube spread this message to more people. I'm giving away a beautiful handcrafted leather Bible every week, and I'm trying to pass Kenneth Copeland in subscribers to show that truth wins over false teaching. Thank you so much for your eyeballs and support.
In addition, Chapek also plans to create a task force in charge of making sure that more LGBT awareness content is available for children. Clearly, this town hall was an explicit confirmation that Disney has essentially been taken over by its woke employees.
Sorry, well, then mean it. Continue to fight for us and stand with us and not donate any more at all. Not just a pause, but a complete shutdown of any future donations into any candidate or into any campaign that stands against the LGBTQ community.
And will only get more and more woke in the future.
All that like momentum that I felt, like that sense of I don't have to be afraid to like, let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background, like I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to like if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud family. But like I just was like, no one would stop me.
I've had the privilege of working with the Moon Girl team for the last 2 years, and they've been really open to exploring queer stories. And I'm on the production side. Part of the work that I feel like I can put in is making sure that we take place in modern day New York. So making sure that that's like an accurate reflection of New York. So I put together like a tracker of our background characters to make sure that we have like the full breadth of expression.
We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends. We are in the process of changing over those recorded messages. And so many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages. And so I love the fact that it's opened up the creativity, the opportunity for our cast members to look at that.
Later in March, Carrie Burke, a Disney executive in charge of content, vowed to up the ante on gender politics during an all-hands meeting, promising that at least half of the characters in its productions will be LGBTQIA or from racial minorities by the end of the year.
I'm here as a mother of two queer children, actually, one transgender child and one pansexual child. And also as a leader. One of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads.
These cataclysmic changes in Disney will alienate a large number of people who used to watch and support Disney because clearly Disney has taken a side in woke politics and can no longer be trusted to provide entertainment that can be trusted to be morally acceptable by many parents.
One of the most common objections to the Christian position on homosexuality is that homosexuality can't be wrong if it doesn't harm anyone. Well, that assertion is based on a false premise. And the false premise is that no one is harmed by homosexuality. Homosexuality is sin. The Bible makes it very clear that it is a sin. Romans chapter 1, for example, makes it very clear that homosexuality is a sin. So again, it's a false premise. The idea that you can have sinful practices that don't harm anyone. They harm the people who engage in them, and they harm the message of the gospel.
Because of this, countless parents will now turn to other avenues of entertainment for their children and families. And there is now an enormous opening for other companies to provide the kind of children and family entertainment that Disney will no longer provide.
So we got to see leaked footage from inside Disney of high-up Disney employees saying things like, we have a not-so-secret gay agenda. Saying things like, make sure I get this quote right, we're adding in queerness wherever we can, and that, quote, no one is trying to stop the producer who was doing so. Another executive within the company said, if anything, we don't have enough LGBTQIA representation in content made for very small children. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to do the same thing we always do. We're going to build alternatives. Americans have enormous economic might. They just don't have any alternatives. The Daily Wire is building those alternatives. And today, I'm proud to tell you that we will be launching Daily Wire Kids.
What all of this means is that this may very well be the beginning of Disney's decline, and maybe even death.